From challenges to champions, we are talking about community leaders and activists and those in the medical field who are on the front lines of fighting a sickle cell disease. And I'm really excited to have with us today Sasha Chopra. She's a medical student and sickle cell disease researcher at one of the top Black medical schools, Meharry Medical College. How are you, Sasha?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm really good, and I always like to start out with the connection that you have while you are a researcher in this area. I'm sure there's a personal story that has put you in this space to deal specifically with sickle cell disease. Can you share that with us?
Yes, so I wasn't always interested in the field of sickle cell and honestly, even medicine. So my interest in medicine started with when both my parents passed away while I was in college. So it was after this, I guess, loss that for the first time I found and started looking at my identity as a Black woman in America, because I went from being in an affluent neighborhood to now finding myself without parents and without a way to really continue my education while I was a student. I knew after they passed away that I wanted to go into medicine, but again, I didn't know about sickle cell disease. It wasn't until I met a hematologist that for the first time kind of took me under her wings and showed me what medicine and sickle cell disease in the field of hematology really had to offer. It was, again, after this huge loss that I started noticing the huge disparity gap that we have in America with sickle cell disease in this community. Not only is it, restart, not only do we have a community that is marginalized,
Right.
Black people already have huge disparities in health to start with, but then you have this disease that even Black people shy away from. I'm at an HBCU where, again, there's a lot of lack in funding already. There's a lot of support that we receive and community we find together, but all around where you look at, there's disparities when it comes to sources of funding to make sure that we also learn about diseases that mostly affect our people. So it turns out that, I'm sorry, this is,
No, you know what? Just like hearing your story and hearing your pathway, like it's emotional, and I'm sure that it's bringing to mind a lot of things that you've had to go through as a Black student now at Meharry, and you're doing this important work. You said one thing that stuck out to me, and it said that this is something that you said Black people shy away from. And when you said that, I paused and I wanted to know, what did you mean by that? And I'm assuming that maybe it's because of some of the things that you've seen in your research or how people have responded. Break that down when you mean that they kind of shy away from it.
well, one, I would start to say that before I even break into this, Meharry is an amazing institution that does breed a lot of talent and fosters a lot of care in students. I chose to go to Meharry specifically because of the population that I was looking to serve. So it was very surprising when I did get there that I found out that a lot of students have not really looked or considered into the field of hematology, nor do they know much about sickle cell disease and how it affects, our population and the population. Understanding that sickle cell disease affects all races and all traits, but predominantly affects underrepresented populations, again, it was very much my surprise that choosing an HBCU to go to, you go there and you find out that when I was a first year, it was me as a first year and then one fourth year interested in sickle cell disease in a school that is predominantly Black people. Again, amazing institution, a lot of support, but I noticed that there was a gap in knowledge and understanding about this disease and how it directly impacts us. My first semester there, I threw a blood drive and started educating other students. It's kind of the joke, they call me Sickle Cell Sasha Chupa now, because I've been telling everyone, how does even the field that you're interested in impact sickle cell disease? Because it impacts us all. So in a way, the reason I said even Black people shy away from it is because it turns out to be a disease that a lot of people usually are not even aware how much it affects. Like, students didn't know what the trait was, who it mostly affects, what it looks like. how it presents in even fields that they're interested in. So even though I'm the one I know so far in my class, let me say, the one that came forward with it, interested in it, I've challenged a lot of my friends to the fields that they have said they're interested in, find out about what you're interested in and how it affects sickle cell disease, because I'm pretty sure you'll find that it encompasses every single thing or every single field in medicine that you want to go into. And a lot of my classmates did not know this. They thought that, again, we're looking at OBGYN, maternal fetal health, cardiology, neurology, again, psychiatry. It all falls under the roof that like these patients are in need of integrated care. And most people don't, or the most that I've encountered in my experiences, we're not even aware of how this community that is in plain sight and is in front of them are in need of their expertise, but it's usually shied away from. And my interest in it started when I started finding my own path and identity as a marginalized woman in America. When I started seeing how the health, like the death of my parents showed me how much health and disease can impact someone's life. And even though I was not the one facing illness, I saw how much of a drastic change illness can cause in a person's life. I went from living in an affluent neighborhood in Potomac, Maryland, to losing my parents, losing our home, becoming homeless, having to drop out of school because of a disease. In my mind, when I walked this path, I was just interested in medicine. I just knew that I wanted to help someone else. It wasn't until I started finding out about my identity, finding out about reading very notable African American works in America, that again, I went into this community that we are already facing so much in our identities in America, and yet you have a community that's marginalized on top of a marginalized community that is continuously ignored. And so we all have choices as medical students. We all have choices about what we want to go into. And what I wanted to bring forward as I had the choice to go into something after I lost my parents was to make sure that I could impact something that, and people that were fully affected by a disease that completely changes lives. Diseases in itself change lives. So when you have a population that not only has to deal with the effect of disease in people surrounding them, but they're facing it themselves, everyone that we possibly can get to help, we need to all get together to help this community. It has been ignored and misunderstood for too long.
But now we've got you. Let me just say this, like, thank you so much, like, honestly, for choosing this pathway. And we wish you the best in your research. Thank you for attending Meharry. And I can't wait to see more Sashas out there doing the same kind of work. Thank you so much.